A brutal blast of Arctic air is fueling rounds of heavy snow, impacting millions from the Midwest to the Northeast. More than 100 vehicles involved in this chain reaction crash on Interstate 196 in Michigan. Drivers say they could barely see the cars in front of them.
It was just semi after semi, either going into the ditch, hitting each other.
The whiteout conditions leading to nearly a dozen injuries, including children. The highway shut down for nearly 8 hours. Multiple crashes also reported here in Indiana. Drivers facing near zero visibility from the Dakotas all the way to upstate New York, where some areas could see 4 inches of snow per hour. In Rochester, New York, pilots battling the elements trying to land during an intense squall. Along Lake Michigan, a rare phenomenon known as ice volcanoes. They form when waves push up water through cracks in the ice. All this as dangerous cold sweeps in, feels like temperatures plunging to 0 or below from Minnesota to Maine. It'll feel like 8 below in Detroit, forcing some schools to close. The frigid weather stretching as far south as Florida. And later this week, a potentially stronger winter storm could bring snow and ice from Texas to the southeast coast after rare snow fell in parts of the region this past weekend.
1 year ago today, President Trump took office to begin his second term, and today protests are being held nationwide. It comes as Trump's push to take over Greenland escalates into a potential trade war. Overnight, Trump posting this edited image with a U.S. flag on Greenland. ABC's Lana Moise has the latest.
This morning, protests are planned across the country to mark the 1-year anniversary of President Trump's second inauguration. The group Women's March organizing walkouts at 2 p.m. today to protest Trump's policies. As for the president, he's traveling to Davos, Switzerland for the World Economic Forum to talk housing affordability. But his threat to take over Greenland is overshadowing all discussions. Trump overnight said he expects European leaders will get on board.
I don't think they're going to push back too much. Look, we have to have it. They have to have this done. They can't protect it.
Thousands of protesters gathering in Copenhagen over the weekend, some wearing red hats saying, "Make America go away." The Danish military posting images of more troops arriving in Greenland, 8 NATO countries, including France, Germany, and the UK, also moving forces there as a show of support. And now, European leaders are threatening to deploy the so-called Big Bazooka, a measure to fight political and economic bullying, which could impose tariffs on American goods, including bourbon and soybeans. It's in response to President Trump's threat of a 10% tariff on those countries next month, jumping to 25% in June, until a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland.
The use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong.
Stock futures on Wall Street dropping sharply overnight on Trump's tariff threat. Trump claims Greenland is needed for U.S. national security. His push to claim the island has threatened the NATO alliance, which could empower Vladimir Putin. Norway's prime minister texting Trump, "We all should work to take this down and de-escalate," proposing a phone call to talk it out. Trump texting back, "Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America." Norway's prime minister says, "I've explained to him many times that it's an award given by a Norwegian committee, not by the Norwegian government."
If anybody thinks that Norway doesn't control the Nobel Prize, they're just kidding. They have a board, but it's controlled by Norway, and I don't care what Norway says. But I really don't care about that.
This week in Davos, President Trump is also expected to hold a signing ceremony for his Gaza Board of Peace, which will oversee rebuilding and the Gaza Strip. Russia and Belarus are among the countries who say they've been invited to join the board.
Lionel, thank you. A new confrontation in the Minnesota immigration crackdown. A protest against federal agents spread into this church. And now the Justice Department is vowing to investigate those protesters. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has the details. Nicole, good morning.
Well, Hannah, good morning to you. The Justice Department says it's investigating after video posted online by Black Lives Matter shows protesters entering that church in St. Paul, where they say one of the pastors is a local ICE official. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says the protest interrupting a church service is a potential violation of the FACE Act.
The FACE Act was passed to stop this exact type of conduct. You are not allowed to stop people from worshiping, and you're not allowed to intimidate or impede them. And so the individuals that went in there and did that, and you could tell that they had a plan, you could tell that they had an agenda, and you cannot do that in this country.
Minnesota, there's too much media attention on ICE, who have removed some of the worst murderers and criminals in the world, and not enough attention paid to the staggering sums of money stolen from the state by corrupt Minnesota politicians. So, Congressman, what do you make of his comments? Is he right? Have the law enforcement actions, illegal immigration enforcement actions there, and the subsequent protests in the Twin Cities, have they overshadowed the major fraud story that's still ongoing there in Minnesota?
Well, I think that's the whole point of all these protests now at this point. It's continuing to gin them up, to distract everyone from the just tremendous fraud, abuse, and waste that we've seen in Minnesota, uncovered by Nick Shirley, the Quality Learning Center. And now people are starting to look in their own states, like New York and California and everywhere, to eradicate this.